Hi everyone, this is Queenie from Resilience Software, and I'll be the host of your TRES training session today. I think there might be a couple more people joining the call, so I'm going to give maybe another minute or two, and then we'll get started. Okay, it looks like we might not have any more people joining us, but we are recording this session, so um, I believe JJ Jackman will be sending this out to those who join us today. I don't think he is here with us at the meeting today, but...
Yeah, I am. I'm here.
How are you? Okay.
Yep.
Hi, JJ.
Hi.
Okay, great. So yeah, if there are any questions that I might not be able to answer in terms of expectations or requirements on filling out the case logs, maybe I'll let JJ jump in here.
Sure.
But otherwise, I think we are good to start. Are we expecting any more people, or?
I don't know. I didn't have a lot of response after I sent out the initial note to this baby yet, but we will share it with those who can't be on the call.
Yeah.
I would ask everybody who's on the call, if you're not speaking, to mute your phone, just so that Queenie has as much quiet as she can, so this is clear, because this is going to be shared with the other fellows in the accredited program.
Yeah, and if anyone has any questions along the way, there is a group chat, and you can just maybe type your question in there. So I'm just sending a message there. Okay. So I think we are ready to get started then. So I will be sharing my screen with you guys today. I do have a PowerPoint presentation, but I'll mostly be doing a demo of TRES so that you can see what it looks like on the website. So let's see, I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and let me know if you guys are able to see this. Okay. So I'll be giving you a walkthrough of TRES for the American Head and Neck Society. We'll start off with some introduction and making sure that people's accounts have been set up. This will be a tutorial on how to use the software. So just some benefits and goals of using the case log. It's very immediate, so you can access the system on your mobile device, either Android or iOS, or your laptop or desktop computer. It can help support and demonstrate your progression on your learning path. It can save a lot of time in inputting and analysis. And also, it's an efficient way to record your experience and develop the documentation habit. And additionally, your data does stay on the TRES server and is accessible to you. You can also generate reports of your case logs so that you have that data with you even after you've graduated the program. So a quick overview of what we'll cover today. I'll show you how to create a new activity or a case. I'll show you the activity summary page and how you can customize your view. I'll also show you how to customize filters so that it can help you do a quick search. There is also reporting services that I'll talk about as well. I have some screenshots from our iOS mobile platform. And then, of course, I will talk about how to reach us at support if you ever have any questions or need any help with the software. Okay, so log in and correct me if I'm wrong, JJ, but I think most of you have already received your account credentials. So that
Correct.
is great. Awesome. Yeah, so that's in the form of a welcome email sent to your email address, and it's a package that contains your username and a link to set up your own password. So once you've done that, you'll be able to use the username and your selected password to log in on both the website and your mobile app. And if you ever do forget your password, no worries, you can click Forgot Your Password. I'll show you shortly on the website, and then all you have to do is type in your username or email address, and it'll send you a link to reset your password. Okay, so I will show you the TRES website now. So as I was saying, once you get your username and set up your password, type it in, log in, and this is the news and updates page. This is where we post some, announcements about office closures or important releases. The most recent one is for another program of another client of ours, and they just have some updates on their end. So usually you wouldn't really be spending too much time here, but it is still good to be aware of any office closures, especially since we are based in Canada. So there are, several differences in terms of holidays and such. But most of the time, you will be doing entering new activities, which is here under the Activities tab. So this is your case log, and so this is the general format. You'll see there are several sections which I will go over. One thing to notice here is that there's a little message at the top here that says this activity wasn't saved the last time you were here. You can finish and save it now, or click here to start a blank activity. So this is one of the features of the case log, which is that if you started a case log, but you either forgot about it, went to do something else, left it there, and didn't click save, then the next time you click enter new activity, it will tell you that there's this activity that you didn't save, and you can continue working on it. As you can see, I didn't really fill anything in, but if you were in the middle of logging a case, you might have already filled some of this in, and you don't want to lose that. So this is a good feature to sort of save that data. Or if that wasn't really important, then you can click the blue text to start a blank activity. So now I will run through each of these sections. At the top here, you've just got the standard case log, so that's the name of this activity type. Currently, we do only have one activity type, but for other programs, or if in the future it's necessary, we would have a drop-down for different activity types, different forms. But at the moment, that's not the case, so no need to worry about that yet. So here we've got date of operation. So this date field always defaults to the current date, which is July 17th today, 2019. If you are ever needing to change the date, make sure to select the actual day. That can be confusing sometimes, so just make sure if you're ever updating the date to click on it in the calendar so that it's accurately portrayed. And next you have the attending physician who you worked with. So this is a list of all the attendings that we have in the system. I believe most of these are fellowship directors, and you should be able to find them in the list, but if not, so if you don't see your director or attending physician in here, what you can do is click Other, and then you can type in the attending physician that you worked with. Or when you're doing a search, you can do a search with just typing in part of the name of your attending physician, and then it will generate the entry that matches. So this is similar in all of the drop-down fields, so I'll show you later how that feature works. Okay, so that's the basic information. And the next section, we get more into patient interaction. So first we've got a text field called PT Unique ID. So patient unique ID. And I believe, again, JJ, correct me if I'm wrong, but we had previously set a format for the patient unique ID. And it should be your program code, which is 3 letters. And I think there's probably a document that has a list of all of the program codes associated with your program. So it's 3 letters. The example that we had was if you're a fellow at Emory and the program code is EMR, so that's the first 3 letters. Then next you have your initials, so 2 letters. And then you have the last 4 digits of the patient's MRN. And lastly, the patient's initials. So I just went with patient Jane Doe, so JD. So that should still be the format. If not, I'm sure JJ will inform you of the updated format.
Yeah, I'll circulate that with this recorded webinar.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and next you have the gender of the patient. So again, this is a drop down. Date of birth, so another date field, and you can go and the date of birth, patient first name, another text field, And now you've got diagnoses. So this is another drop-down list that looks a little different. It has several different categories depending on what type of diagnoses it is. So you can expand each of them to look at what your options are under each category. You can also, again, do a text entry, and then any of these items that matches what you typed in will show up. So that's part of what saves some time when you're inputting data, is that you don't have to go through the entire exhaustive list. And you can just do the search here. So same thing for complication or complications. It's organized under these categories. And then you can expand and see the options, or simply do the search here, and then you'll find what you need. And the other option is also available here. If you do not find one that is in the list right now, then you can add it to the other option, and then it will again show up. So this is your patient interaction section. And next we're getting into the procedures. So you'll see that there are 6 procedure sections. First procedure to 6th procedure, and they are all essentially identical in the types of fields that we have. So we've got procedure, we've got role, and we've got approach. And additionally, all of the options that are in here are the same. So procedure 1 through procedure 6 have the same options, and then similarly for role and approach. So the way this was designed is that you can only make one selection under each procedure, and that is because you want to distinguish between the kind of role that you took in this procedure and the kind of approach. So for role, we have 4 options: primary, first assistant, second assistant, or observer. And then there is the approach of the procedure. So we've got endoscopic and open, laser, open, or robotic. And then depending on how many procedures you do, you fill the case out accordingly. Did a second procedure as well, you continue filling it out if it was the same role. And so, yeah, essentially these are the same drop-down options from 1 to 6. And at the very bottom here, our last section of the case log is your private notes. So these notes are available only to you as the user. It is not available to the program or anyone else. So these can be helpful in, for example, jogging your memory about a specific case, or just making any notes and reflections that you might like to about this case. So that is the case log. Once you're done filling it out, you will have 3 options to save this case log. So the first one, very simple, straightforward. It is a regular save. And once you do that, it will take you back to the activity summary page, which I'll be going over next. So it'll say the activity you were just editing has been saved and is under July 17th. Now, if you wanted to, let's say, save and new. So this means you're saving this current activity and you're starting a blank activity. So this does come with the exception of a few fields. As you can see, there is role 1 and approach 2 that appear to be, and approach 3 that appear to be defaulted to whatever you had selected in your previously saved activity. And the last option for saving is save and duplicate. So I'm going to go back to this most recent activity that had most information in it. This option is where you save the current activity, but you create a duplicate. So essentially that means everything you had entered in that previous has been saved and copied over to the new one. So this can be helpful if you're doing multiple cases in a day, if you're working with the same attending, the same physician, and if you were working with the same patient or someone similar or similar procedures, that's another way that you can cut down on spent in inputting this data. So those are the 3 different ways that you could save depending on the situation. And now I'll show you the View Activities page. So that you can access through Activities, View Activities. So below the Enter New Activity button. Okay. So we've gone over all this, and I'll be demonstrating how you can customize your view. Okay, so at the top here, you've got many filters, and this is customizable. Essentially, these are all of the fields that you just saw on the case log. You can filter your activities through essentially any field. So you can filter by gender, diagnoses, attending, date of birth, complications, etc. So just depending on what you think can be most helpful for you. You can even filter with private notes, meaning if you remember something about a specific case that you documented in your private notes, you can type it in here. And then once you're done with filtering, you click Find Activities. And then any case logs that had whatever word you typed in here, or whatever phrase you typed in into the filter will show up here. So I'll show you how to make that a little more visible by customizing the columns. But I just wanted to show you that you could also filter by private notes. So all the other ones are drop downs. And like I mentioned before, as we currently only have one type of activity, this isn't really that helpful, so you can leave that. Attending physician, so you can select based on who you worked with or who you selected. So my test example one was Dr. ABC. And then here you have it. Gender as well, like mentioned, diagnoses, complications. Okay. And of course you have the date range. So if you want to see activities from the last year to today, then you can do so. So the next part of customizing your View Activities page is the columns that you see at the bottom here. So you can customize that by clicking Customize Columns, And again, these are all of the fields that you just saw on your case log. So you can pick what you think is most helpful, and then you can remove the ones that you don't think will be helpful. And then once you're done, you can click here, and it's been updated. So you can also move the order around just by dragging and dropping. You can also change the order or sort by descending or ascending. And you might not have that many cases in your log yet, but once you start accumulating, you will see more than one page here. So because this test account only has 17 activities, and it does allow up to 25 per page, or you can actually customize that as well. So for example, in this case, you will see page 2. So if you're not finding something, make sure to look at all of the pages. So yeah, that's how you customize your View Activities page to help you search for your cases easily and efficiently. And another thing you could do here, other than new activity, which is basically the same thing as clicking enter new activity, is downloading your cases to Excel. So this is the most raw form of data export. So it opens with Excel, and then you will get basically everything. So everything from submitter, which is you, your stage, so which year you're in, whether fellowship year 1 or 2, um, everything including date and all the fields that you had entered. So it goes all the way to the far right. And it also tells you when you submitted, or if you saved it, submitted it, but then later on went back and made some edits, changes, that's fine too. So this is, like I said, this is raw data, and we do have reports for you, which I will show you later, to kind of gather more of an aggregate from all of your case logs. So I think now I'm just going to run through this slide and see if there's anything else I missed. Okay, yeah, so this here is our iOS app interface. This is your View Activities page. So similarly, the list of all the cases that you've logged so far. And then here is the case log. So it's all the same information, just laid out in a slightly different way. And then this just kind of shows you the whole length of the case log. So again, if you want to save, that's what you should click, the save button. And then if you want to do save and new, again, you click new, and then duplicate is essentially that third option that I showed you guys, save and duplicate. And you can also delete activities, by the way. So that's right here. And once you save an activity on the website, you can also delete them at any point as well. Okay. So that's the delete button here at the far right. Okay, so now I think we can get into, we talked about that. So reports. So you want to find the reports tab at the top here, and it'll give you a list of all of the reports that are currently available to you. We are going to be working with the program to make some modifications to maybe at least one of these reports to make it more customized log. And I'll show you why. It doesn't have all of the complete procedure fields. As we saw, we have 6 procedure fields. And because these are default TRAs, it hasn't been customized specific to the program, but we will be working on that. So, one, it is the trainee diagnosis, problem, or procedure counts. So, if you want to view a report, click here on the right. And this one has a pretty simple filter. So that is the start and end date. So this is just the date range that you want the activities for. And see, this is what I mean by how it hasn't been tweaked percent to fit the case log exactly. But I'll show you both. So I'll show you diagnoses. Okay, so you'll see a list of all of the diagnoses that we have in the list, and you'll also see the count. So this count, what that means is every time you have selected, for example, this one, that will count as 1. So every time you've logged a case, selected this option, that will be 1 for the count. So this one's got 3. So this is the number of counts between July 1st, 2018 to today. So if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it'll tell you how many different diagnoses you've done during this time period. So procedure 1 is just the first procedure. Okay, looks like there's only 1, 2, a couple more. Okay, as you can see, this is quite a long list. What you can do with reports is, again, export to Excel. That's the most commonly used output. So this is what you get. Essentially looks the same as on the TRA's report page, but you can actually save this data for future reference, or if you want to do some data manipulation, calculate your numbers or counts, that is possible as well to do with the Excel file. Okay, so this was the other activity export that I did earlier. So one other thing you could do with reports is you can actually subscribe to it by clicking here. So you can choose the frequency that you want to receive this report in your email. So daily, weekly, monthly, or just once. On the following days, you can do start and end time as well. So you can customize the frequency and the schedule for this report subscription. And once you're done, you can click back to TRES. So report 51A is another one that we might potentially be working on, but I'll demonstrate just how it works at the moment. Actually, okay. So you fill out your start and end date, activity type, all activity types or case log doesn't really matter. You can select, these are the roles that you had entered. So you can filter by all my role items, include activities with no role specified, yes or no, and then view report. Okay. So you will see that from January 1st, 2019 to today, this is the number of diagnoses, and it lists out. It's very similar to report 41, yes, 41, but it just has both diagnoses and procedures laid out for you. I'm gonna expand that time frame a little bit more so we can get some more data in here. Okay, there we go. So you'll see that it looks at all the diagnoses that you entered and it into the different roles that you selected um, for that case log. And so here is where, because we haven't tweaked this specific report yet, only procedure 1 comes up. So ideally, we do want to make sure that you have all the information that you need, all the information that you have already entered into the case log to be able to output and export into Excel for your own purposes as well as for the program. Yeah, so again, you can export. You can manipulate the data if you'd like and save it. And these are all the reports that are currently available. The 38 series are pretty similar to the activity export that you can do right on the View Activities page. So it just depends on which one you think is easier to do. Okay. Yes, so lastly, there is a mobile apps tab at the top. So that just tells you where to find our mobile apps on the App Store and the Android Google Play Store. It also has links to the iPhone user guide and the Android user guide. So it gives you a step-by-step instructions on how to install it and then create new activities. And same thing for Android. And the Help tab that I just clicked on at the top here takes you to our contact information at support, and the email is support@t-res.net. Phone number, we've got our toll-free phone number, 1-866-694-2323, our local number, and we also have TRES tutorial guide. So we've got tutorials and troubleshooting, we've got FAQs. So just some general information that you might find helpful. Yeah, and I think that is all for the training session today. Did anyone have any questions at all? I don't think I saw any messages in the chat, but if anyone ever has any questions, feel free to contact us here. And again, we will be sending this out to people who couldn't attend today.
Thank you, Queenie. This is JJ. I just wanted to also say that the list of procedures and diagnoses and so forth is always a work in progress. A few times last year, this software was launched for the first time last year for the 2018-2019 fellows, and there were some procedures and things that we didn't initially put in the list. It is, and Queenie, you can back me up on this. It is easy to add those during the year. So if you find something that a procedure or a diagnosis that is not there that you would like listed, let me know, and I can convey that to Queenie, and we can add it to the list permanently. And as we do that, I'll update everyone on what new things have been added.
Yeah, we are, I believe Babak is currently working on some of the drop-down lists, looking at things that we might want to add. And yeah, like JJ said, there's a lot of background noise there. Yeah, so yeah,
the other
let JJ know.
Is that, the other piece that I wanted to note is under the attending, what we've listed there are the currently 48 fellowship directors, so that we wouldn't have a list of some 300 or 400 people. We've just put the director for each program. So as you work with your faculty within the program, that's where you use the other tab that Queenie showed up, that pointed out. And as you use that, when you if you entering someone in other, if you enter them a second time, it will populate that quicker. It'll once you type in the first few letters, the name will come up. So it's not like you're having to type in the complete name each time. And I think for that, generally you don't have to put in their whole name if their last name is sufficient, just so we know who you worked with. But that was the best way to do that, rather than, as I said, have a drop-down menu of 300 or 400 names.
So you can find that under My Past Others. Any entries that you had previously entered here, you can find, and you don't have to manually enter it in every time.
Oh, great. Past Others. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just at the bottom here.
I just realized I'm in the faculty list. I can probably come out. I'll talk to you about that.
Oh.
Okay, did anyone have any questions? Sorry, Queenie, didn't mean to step on your...
No, it's okay. I was just about to say the same thing.
Okay. Great. Well, if there are no other questions, Queenie, is there anything else that you wanted to convey?
No, I think that's all. I think we're good.
Okay. Thank you, everyone who called in. Queenie, thank you for the tutorial. And as I said, or as Queenie said, we'll make this recording video available. and I'll get that along with the program codes that were mentioned earlier. I'll get that out to everyone, if not tomorrow, then for sure Friday.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, and thank you, JJ.
All right. I will sign off. Thank you, Queenie.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.